Good morning, everybody, and welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave here, running a little bit of solo, but I wouldn't actually say solo. I actually have the help and support of the producer, Bryce, this morning. How you doing, sweetheart?
Hello, good morning,
Okay,
everyone.
before we get started, I want to know right now, you got a new phone.
Yeah, I did.
You did. When did you go get the new phone?
2 days ago.
Oh, yeah. So we haven't had a chance to talk about the new phone. Which model did you get?
I got the 13 Pro Max.
Oh, my goodness.
AT&T was having a deal where if you traded in your XR, you get a certain amount of money off. So I was like, why not get the best phone that is out there?
You got the 13 Pro Max, the supercomputer held in the hand. What so far have you found out? You know what I've come to understand? These things are these are awesome cameras with phones. I mean, there is just no doubt these are the most awesome cameras in the world. And what have you found out about this phone that just is so much better than the other phone?
Well, I mean, because I'm starting to get into video stuff, so having the nicer camera is a good baby step towards, video production stuff. So
I get it.
Yeah.
No, what do you mean you're getting into it? You're sitting right behind the boards right now. You're deep in it. Look at your feet. You're all in it. You're up to your chin in the production world.
So I needed a better camera.
Are you going to be able to take those very important news shots that we've been waiting for, those scoops?
Yes. We're going to have a daily picture of you, Dave, on Facebook for your new shirt of the day.
Oh,
It's going to be the best quality picture.
I like it.
Yeah, so I think the viewers are going to be excited for that.
I do too. Let me tell you a small story. One time I was at school and a fraternity house caught fire. And me and my buddies were there, and we wanted to get closer. They were holding us all back, and I said I was with the school paper. So they let me through to take some photos because I had my Polaroid. And I moved through and to take an interview from the police captain. And I was standing there talking to the captain about the fire and just asking him questions and was pretending to write stuff down. I just wanted to get closer.
You probably felt very important that day.
I always feel important.
Oh, my God.
I don't know if it's me or if there's something wrong with me or what have you, but I did feel kind of important. You know what I mean? Because I was closer than everybody else.
Well, I'm happy for you.
But now that you have your phone, you're going to need to be on the spot, right? You're going to need to be up there and on the spot. Were you able to download all your stuff successfully to your new phone?
Oh, yeah. With AT&T, we actually had somebody come to our house and set our phones up for us. Yeah, and it was like 20 minutes. It was way better than the last time. The last time I got a new phone, we were at the Apple store for like hours. It was so simple this time, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had gone to the Apple store to do it because I thought that's where you should do it. I buy mine directly from Apple.
Well, that's what we were doing until we walked into the AT&T store one day.
And they gave you the better deal.
Yeah, they did.
They gave you the better deal. So, how much did you save? I'm just curious.
$800 per phone. My mom and I both are in a plan together.
$800 per phone?
That's a sale that AT&T has going on right now. If you trade in your XR and it's in good enough condition, you have $800 credit towards the new phone, which we pay it monthly, but you have $800 off of your monthly total bill in the whole 36-month span that we're paying it off. So.
Wow. Wow. And I just went out and got a phone. I didn't even trade my other one in. I had a 10.
What?
Pro Max, and I didn't even trade it in.
Oh my gosh.
They said they'd give me a good price, and now I'll just keep it in case I need it. And now I haven't just picked it up since I got my new phone, so I don't.
You missed out.
Huh?
You missed out.
I did miss out. I missed out on $800. Wow, look at this.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Hey, gasoline's coming down just a little bit. You notice that?
Yes, I drove past Kroger today, and it was like $3.69 a gallon for.
How much?
$3.69.
That's a lot better than 4 something. Isn't it?
I know.
A lot better than 4 something. I'm hoping that it continues the trend.
Yes.
The problem, we're wanting that downward trend to keep going and make it a lot easier on everybody. I will tell you that diesel hasn't taken the plunge yet. I'm waiting on that to happen. It really hasn't skyrocketed. It hasn't lost 50 cents. I can tell you that a gallon. but I'm ready for the price of fuel to go down. I do know that yesterday and the day before, we've had a series of heavy storms cross from Texas into Louisiana. And yesterday, there were some horrible images of the devastation that these tornadoes caused from Texas through Louisiana into Mississippi all yesterday. And let me tell you, I think one was killed in Texas and one was killed in Louisiana, but almost 1,000 homes in Texas were destroyed or had damage. And then look at these. I mean, the swath that this storm caused through the region, you got to be mindful of what's happening. You feel sorry for the people that were affected. Some of these people's houses were completely, I saw some interesting videos yesterday where people's houses were picked up completely off the foundation and moved and slammed into another house. And the people were inside. Look at this. This is crazy. I mean, this is crazy. They were calling for chainsaws yesterday. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
People with chainsaws. They were calling for people with chainsaws to come out and help clear all these trees and branches that had broken off and were in roadways and driveways on houses. They were calling everybody to come out there in Jacksboro. If you had a chainsaw, to come out and give a hand. They had it out announced on the paper. So there was a lot going on. I know that Lake Tawakoni got hit as well, and there were many places, but it was crazy. I don't think I've ever actually heard them get on the radio and announce and television announce for people with moving in chainsaws. So it was pretty interesting. I'll tell you what, one last thing before we get to a great interview from Atri this morning. We also have news that last night the president landed in Brussels for a high-stakes NATO meeting with our allies. They are meeting today in trying to get a strategic plan together for what's going on in the Ukraine. And I do know that NATO dispensed more troops along the borders. There's a little bit of a showdown going on, and it's really, I'm really wanting to know exactly what we intend to do as a NATO alliance against, there's Zelensky and Putin up against one another. And you know, there's still a lot going on. This war has been going on for a month now, and the Russians have dug in where they're at. I do know that the Ukrainians are counterattacking several positions. They're now no longer on the defense. They are taking the offense to the Russians and trying to take back ground that was taken by the Russians, and the Russians are digging in and starting to move up heavy artillery in place to pound into submission some of the troops. And the unfortunate part is the civilians are the ones taking the heaviest toll in this fight. And it is getting very, very serious. I'll tell you what we will do is we will come back in just a minute and we will get with Rebecca Brewster with Atri and talk to her for a few minutes about some very important topics here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Back in about 60 seconds.
You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong. Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety. One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection, yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
All right, and welcome back. And with us, we have Rebecca Brewster with Atri. Hi, Rebecca. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Dave. I'm doing great.
All right. It's so nice to see you again. Welcome back. We are so
Thank
excited.
you.
Before we get started, let's once again introduce Atri and what you do at Atri and who you are and what Atri does.
Absolutely. And we go by ATRI. We call ourselves ATRI.
Actually, I'm
So
sorry.
we are the trucking industry's not-for-profit research organization, and the work that we do on behalf of the industry really covers the landscape. Everything from safety topics to driver issues to regulatory issues to how the industry impacts the environment. We do a lot in traffic congestion and how to improve mobility. So it really is a full suite of research topics that we are continuously working on in fulfillment of ATRI's mission, which is to improve the trucking industry's safety and productivity. And I've been with ATRI just over 29 years, so I've spent most of my adult career with this organization. I've been president of ATRI since 2002. We've got a great team of researchers that are around the country. I'm based in Atlanta, where I have several of our team here with me in Atlanta. We also have staff in Minneapolis, in Sacramento, and New York City. So we're covering the bases around the country to make sure we get all the research done to make our great industry better.
Well, I'll tell you what, of all of those, I think Minneapolis is probably the best with traffic. All the others, I'm not really excited about, New York, Atlanta, or LA, but I will tell you that I am excited that you're here. You know, I've come to learn a lot more about your organization and what it does, and it's very interesting how important your information is that's given to not only the industry itself, but also the lawmakers, right? I mean, you help provide that information to our legislation.
Absolutely. So, in fulfillment of our mission, we make our research available to anyone who's interested. You can download any of our studies from our website. But what we have found is that not only does the industry use the research to improve individual fleet operations or whatever the case may be, but yes, particularly when we do an analysis looking at the impact of new regulations, that research makes its way all the way to Congress. We have been very successful in seeing our research at play in positive changes to the hours of service rules. We've seen our research at play when the federal government and state DOTs are looking at where to invest infrastructure dollars to improve those traffic problems out there. So we really are proud of the work we do and how it has been able to move the needle for improving safety and productivity in the industry.
Well, I'll tell you, Rebecca, in response to that, directly when it becomes the hours of service, I don't believe that I've seen a better or more positive change for drivers in the last hours of service rules than I had seen since the new rules began with the split sleepers and the extended service hours. I think those have benefited better than ever. But I can't even. I look back and I look at my career and I can't remember a time in which all the rules that came out underneath the hours of service regulations actually helped the drivers more in regards to fatigue than those came out. What was it, last September? Is that right?
Last September, you're right. And you know, it's interesting because when I started in the industry, I actually started with a private truck fleet. And that was back in the days in the 80s when drivers could split at that time it was a 10-hour driving day, and they could go 5 and 5. And we ran team operations, and our drivers would go 5 and 5, one in the sleeper, one driving. And certainly starting back, 2005 was the first time we got the first change to the hours of service rules. And for a while there, I felt like the hours of service rules were the full employment act for ATRI because we were studying every single change that came out. And you think back to that sort of egregious change where to utilize the 34-hour restart, drivers had to have 2 overnight periods from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Oh, that was a nightmare.
It was a nightmare, and it was really problematic. And we were able to show through data collection from drivers, by doing some analyses with our truck GPS data, just how really problematic that was for drivers. And you know, drivers reporting that they were more fatigued because of those rules, not less fatigued. And those are rules that are designed to provide drivers an opportunity to rest. And so really problematic. But you're right, with the latest changes that have come out, I think we are really in a good place with the hours of service rules.
I agree 100%. I think there's always great room for improvement. There's always an opportunity to do better, but I think this was a great jump spot for us. And let's talk a little bit more about fatigue. Let's talk about driver fatigue for a minute. You've done several studies on this. Let's run down some of them and what you have found.
Well, certainly one of the biggest activities we've been involved in over the years has been initiatives focused on driver health and wellness, and that is certainly fatigue is a part of that. We were part of the original team with FMCSA to develop and Transport Canada, what is now called the North American Fatigue Management Program. And that took the best of the best in terms of what research was out there on sleep need and sleep hygiene and when you can rest and when it's not as advantageous to rest, and really pulled all that together into a training course. And it's a training course that is still available online for drivers. It's got a training module for driver managers, because how you dispatch drivers and what you do and how you interact with drivers is important. It's got a module that teaches shippers about their role in driver fatigue and how they can help mitigate that situation. It's even got a module for families, because while you may be under the hours of service rules when you are out on the road, what you do when you are off duty at home has an impact on your fatigue levels when you're out on the road. And certainly your family plays a role in that. And so helping your family understand how important it is that you get the rest you need when you are off the road will help you improve your safety on the road. But there's no question, Dave, that there are so many contributors to fatigue while the driver is out on the road, from traffic congestion and detention at facilities that stresses you out because you're not able to get to your next appointment. A whole host of issues that contribute to driver fatigue. And we have learned over the years through a number of research studies that it is challenging oftentimes. We are our own worst enemies in terms of identifying when we're tired. We always think other people are fatigued, but we don't necessarily recognize it in ourselves. And that's when drivers of cars and trucks get into trouble, when you don't recognize that you are tired and need to pull over and rest.
You know, and you talk about that, and as you've spoken to drivers and done the research, we're talking about genuine denial, right? When you just say, hey, I'm fine, I got this a little bit more. And it's not until we turn around and look back and go, man, I can't believe I drove. I was exhausted. And when you do studies and you see that, it is about being honest, right? It is about being honest with yourself and things like that. When you've done your research to drivers, do you find about fatigue, and you talk about the deny? Are they pretty good? Do they open up pretty well in your research about their own fatigue?
Well, drivers will say oftentimes, and this is so spot on, that it's so many externalities that create that fatigue for them. You know, the demands of the customers and like I said, traffic congestion, all these other things that the driver cannot necessarily control. And so it is hard because you're a professional and you want to get your job done and you want to do it well. So it is hard to, step back and say, wow, I really need to take a break. So many people are saying you've got to get here at this time, and now you've hit Atlanta at the worst time of day and you're stuck in traffic, and that creates more fatigue because you're stressed out. But I think drivers are becoming more and more aware of how important getting proper sleep is as best they can. It raises a whole nother issue that we could spend a whole nother show on, and that's talking about where do drivers get that rest, because there's not adequate truck parking. But Dave, I have a personal experience with this growing up with a parent who just denied that he was tired all the time. And when we would be on family road trips, we knew we were in trouble when Daddy had one hand on the steering wheel, started slapping his arm to try and wake himself up. And we knew, we wish Mom would take the wheel now because it's scary.
My goodness.
And honestly, to really highlight how impactful that was, my father never touched a drop of alcohol in his entire life.
Right.
And twice when we were in the car with him, he got pulled over by law enforcement because he was weaving, because he was tired.
Wow. And you talk about that. That I'll tell you, it's interesting to know. I will tell you, and to go back to your comment a second ago about family understanding how important it is you get rest. When I would come home off the road, there was a litany of lists of things to get done. And that first day out, I was exhausted from the weekend trying to get all of those that honeydew list completed before I got back on the road. My first day out was never my best day, I can tell you.
No, and understandably so. And I travel extensively for my job. And so I know that my husband has to deal with everything at home when I'm on the road. And so I feel for the partner or spouse who stays at home because they have to manage everything at home. But the family needs to understand that when mom or dad comes in from being out on the road, they have to have an opportunity to get that rest for their safety and for your safety too, so that when they go back out on the road, you don't have that first day where you can't even see straight because you're so exhausted from what you did when you were at home.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about, and I think one of the main key parts we were going to talk about today was detention. I think why don't you kind of go through? We all know as drivers and people in the industry, we all know what detention is, but kind of go how you went about your study and what you went and what questions you were trying to resolve.
So we did 2 years worth of data collection because we really wanted to get a longitudinal or a several-year look at how impactful detention is. And so we did data collection in 2014 from motor carriers and from truck drivers, everything about detention, how long you were incurring it, what types of facilities you were at which you were experiencing detention, because some types of customers are more infamous, if you will, for a longer detention than others. And then we repeated that data collection in 2018, and across the board what we saw was more frequent detention and longer detention. And so the situation was getting worse, not better. And what's surprising about that is in between the time period, you got the ELD mandate. And so you would think that when a driver has a way to electronically record how long they're being held up, that would now provide proof, if you will, to the customers. You are holding our trucks up excessively for an excessively long time. But that was not the case. And detention got, as I said, more frequent and extended in length. And what we found is, in fact, that the female professional drivers in our data set actually experienced longer detention than the males in our data set, which was a surprising finding.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. I will tell you, Rebecca, and I'm going to tell you from a personal note that when we ran paper logs, or when I was on paper, we always found time, right? So we always were able to have time to get loaded, have time on our logs to get loaded, to get empty, and to find a truck stop. But when the ELD mandate came out, that wasn't always the case, because we weren't able, because no longer was it a 15-minute increment on the log. It bumped all the way down to the second. And we weren't able to find that spot or that time like we could before, because it really was an accurate accounting of what was going on at the shipper and receivers. It plays into that. I think the ELD does do a great job in recording that data necessary to understand how important that time is. Have we gotten to the point yet where we know and understand what it means to be driver friendly for the shippers and receivers?
Well, you certainly wish we would be to that point, but I'm afraid we're not there yet. And I have done interview after interview after interview and presentation after presentation after presentation where I've really harped on this issue. If you are a shipper or a receiver and you are entirely dependent on the trucking industry to move your product, you need to treat those men and women who drive professionally like they are gods, because they are, and they are moving your freight. And we have got to do what it takes to make sure that they are treated the way they should be, with the respect that they've earned for all that they do for this nation's economy. It seems like a no-brainer, but unfortunately we still see places where that does not always occur. And so, it's such a problem. Detention is such a problem that as part of the infrastructure bill, we've got a new detention study that FMCSA is going to undertake to look at, like we did in our study, how impactful detention is, and is there a relationship between detention and driver safety. I will tell you that ATRI's Research Advisory Committee, the group that determines what research we should be doing, just met last week in Dallas. And without giving away our secrets yet, because we have to take this list of priority topics to the ATRI board, but I will tell you that detention got a lot of attention by the Research Advisory Committee, and I think you can be looking for additional research on detention out of ATRI in the near future.
Well, and by the way, Rebecca, the next time you're in Dallas, you need to make sure you contact us and let us know, because we would love to have you here and in studio, maybe, and not that you're not in studio now, but virtually. But we would like to have you here as a guest anytime you're in the area next time you come, and I invite you to do so. Let me ask you a simple question. We as drivers, and we in the industry, we understand it. Do you think that the shippers and receivers just don't get that they play a big part in the safety of the drivers on the road? Do you think that they get it yet, or they don't get it yet?
It seems to us in the industry such an intuitive thing, but I really think we've got to do more to connect the dots between what happens safety-wise on the road and how drivers are treated at customer facilities. I'm hopeful that we can play a role in that with our research, but the industry as a whole needs to really, focus on this topic, because in our annual survey of the industry's top issues, driver shortage has been number one for a number of years. You look over at the driver side of the equation, it's compensation and truck parking, but number two, they tied for number one in this most recent survey, but number two is detention. So as I always make the point, if you are a motor carrier and your number one concern is driver shortage and your number two concern is driver retention, you better understand and do what you can about the things that drivers say are important. That's compensation, truck parking, and detention. And particularly with as tight as capacity is right now, as a trucking fleet, you do have some bargaining power with your customers because capacity is so tight. And so, working with your customers to make sure they understand your drivers are a valuable asset, they need to be treated with the respect that they've earned and deserve.
Rebecca, you've said you talk with respect, and you talk about it a lot, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for making sure that that's a key issue. Not only are we talking about the safety of the people on the road, but also treating drivers with respect that they deserve. Man, what a great, you've said that several times, and man, that warms my heart. Is it important that we talk to, and I'm going to ask this, do you think at some point we should be targeting, or we should really go back to the shippers and receivers, and if they are not good with detention and they're not good to the drivers, that they should ultimately, it should hit their pocketbook? I mean, don't you agree? And then when they ask why, give them the data points to show them why. Do you think that's how the best way to get their attention? If they're not going to listen to the safety, is it the pocketbook that we go to and get to?
Well, and certainly hitting them in the pocketbook is a impactful way across the economy for folks. And in our detention research that we have done, it was interesting. We found that the average amount that fleets are collecting for detention, when they are collecting detention from their customers for holding their drivers up, the average amount still did not equate to what was that year our average cost per hour to operate a truck. So we've been doing this operational cost of trucking data collection for years, where we collect data from trucking fleets to understand how much it costs to operate a truck per mile and per hour. And the average amount collected per hour of detention did not even equal the average amount to operate that truck. So you're still in a losing proposition as a fleet when you are able to collect detention. And Dave, the other problem there is we found that for the most part, small fleets were not willing to press their customers on this detention collection, right, because they don't want to lose the business. They didn't want to lose the business. And so that put them at a competitive disadvantage with the larger fleets who have more economic power to be able to negotiate with their customers to collect that detention.
Yeah, it's definitely a data point. I hope the day comes when we all, and I'm just going to ask you, when we all in this industry, both shipper, receiver, company, driver, we all share equally in the responsibility of being out there on the road. And and to me, I think it's necessary. We have all these nuclear verdicts or these legislation and these lawsuits that come about that go after the motor carrier. But when is the day going to come when we all share equally in the responsibility of being out there on the road? Do you think that's ever a reality?
That chain of custody piece is really important because there's no one single activity that contributes to safety on the road. It is everyone has a stake in it, from how long a driver is held up at a facility, how well they are treated at that facility, to what they are encountering on the roadway, how the roadway is operated. So state DOTs, if they don't do well in first responders in clearing traffic incidents and create a situation where it becomes more dangerous while they're dealing with one incident and we get secondary crashes. So, I mean, everyone sort of has a piece of this. The motoring public, put down your telephone while you're driving. It is not a tool to be used while you are in control of a car. So, I mean, we all have a piece in this. And we really need to view this supply chain, which is the buzzword of the, decade right now. We all have a role in the supply chain and in the safety and efficiency of that supply chain.
Well, Ms. Brewster, I could talk to you for an hour on topics because you're so knowledgeable and helpful. But we've run out of time. I want to thank you for coming on and shedding light. You are always a welcome guest. You are welcome to come back. You will come back, correct?
I will come back, absolutely.
All right. And listen, before we go, before we get out of here, I want to make sure that everybody knows that you always have opportunities to get onto your website and to take surveys as drivers, because that's where you gather the information needed, correct? You need that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so where do they go to help out by giving their voice to your research?
It's real easy to remember because it's what we do. Truckingresearch.org is where you can find us. You can download copies of all of our studies, and we are always looking for driver and motor carrier input on a whole host of topics. And so I hope your listeners and viewers will check out our website today.
Thank you very much, and have a great day. And before you go, will you say really quickly, BCB Live, the safest station in the nation?
Of course. BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Brewster. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hi,
All
this
right.
is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
You got to be prepared to stop. And when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We're going to get you started off with a little bit of traffic going on. We got a lot of issues around the DFW area in all kinds of spots. There was a rollover somewhere on 635 this morning, so hopefully that is cleared. But again, we've got all the hot spots. Eastbound on 30 at the 820 loop merge in Forest, or at Fort Worth, northbound on 35W coming into the 820 loop. Once you get past it up north, you also have some issues with traffic with some road work and things of that area. Always a problem here just south of Saginaw as you come into or the 35W there at Fort Worth. So again, and then again down here in the southern part, as you merge at the 287 and 20, that's always a problem as the sun is in the driver's eyes heading east. So again, a lot of problems this morning, even connecting 30 there from once you get past the loop as you come into Arlington area and approach 360, you're going to have a problem. So again, just a lot of things going on. I believe 121 is right here, and so that's going to give you a problem as you get out of Hearst. So, and then we move into the Dallas area, right? We've got problems on 67, 35E, 175, 20, 80, 30 out here by Rockwall, 75 coming down from the north, right? And then the 635 northeast part of the loop in Garland. So, again, you're going to need a lot of patience and just slow down and increase your space this morning in the DFW area. Houston, the loops look pretty good. Again, the tollways got some issues coming on the eastbound side, and as well as I-10 there. As you once you get east of Katy, Texas, you're going to start to see a slowdown. Everywhere else looks pretty good coming into the feeders. You know, all the routes that feed down into it, not too bad. But then we got a big problem on the loop here, as you can see, 290. 145, this is the southbound direction. So you've got a problem all the way back up here to the tollway as you get up by the one airport. And then as you come into the loop, the northeast corner looks really bad. And South Houston has some backup as well. So Houston, you got a little bit of some issues there this morning as well. As we look at Kansas City looks pretty green all the way around. So no issues there. 70's clear. Both sides, east and west. The 35 from the south looks good, as does coming down from the north, and your loop looks really green and clear this morning. So you should not have any issues into the Kansas City area this morning. We look at Chicago. 80-94 crossing the Indiana-Illinois state line looks good. 55, Bolingbrook, starting to see a little bit of a backup there, but not too bad this morning. 88 looks good at Aurora, Naperville as you come in from the west. 90 looks good up there at Elgin and Schaumburg coming in, as does 94. And your 355 loop all looks great going around the city of Chicago this morning. So again, you got a really nice commute in Chicago area this morning. As we look in Atlanta, right? Atlanta's always got some hot spots. It's a little clearer, but it's really not that much better. You can see 85's backed up again on the southbound direction, all the way back past 316 split. You also have 19 coming down Dunwoody, all the way backed up just south of Alpharetta. And then again, 20 coming in from the east has some issues, as does 20 coming in from, heading east, coming in from the west, as coming in from the east, heading west here on the 20 on Stonecrest. And then again, the loop is pretty much congested all the way from 20 to 20, all the way around it. So again, your southern part is the best way to go in Atlanta around the loop, and you must take the loop. You'll have a little bit of a slowdown when you get down to the airport at the southern part. As we look at Nashville, right, we got 24 backed up all the way down to 266. That is typical on the northbound direction. We have the eastbound or westbound direction coming from the east, 40-24 merge point. We've got some backups there, as our normal 2465 northeast of the city. And then all week we seem to have been having a problem on the 40 on the eastbound side. It is backed up here to, you've got an area from Pegram to Newsom, and then another one here at West Mead as you approach the 70-40 crisscross there. So coming into Nashville, you've got some hot spots. The loop looks really good. So take the loop this morning if you're coming into Nashville. We look at our DC area. It looks a little better, I think. 66 has some issues out here. Fair Oaks, all the way into Idlewood, into that 495 split. Coming up from the south, doesn't look too bad. 95 has some stop and go, but not too bad. And again, the loop, the northern part always has some issues, and that's still there. both directions over on the eastern side of this loop, from New Carrollton all the way down to Largo and even down to Forestville. You're going to see some problems. And then always at the northern part at White Oak and Silver Spring. But our connectors to Baltimore, 95 looks clear all the way up. We do have some problems on the northbound side here at South Laurel to Russet. And then on the, that was the northbound side. On the southbound side at Jessup, you're going to have a little bit of a backup as you try to connect to Baltimore. The Baltimore area, we have some problems on 70 on the eastbound direction, but the loop looks really good, folks. A little bit of problem 95 coming down from the north, but 795 looks good. Always a problem at Parkville to Towson, right? That's the normal backup here with some merge points. And then we got a little bit of a problem at Pikesville as well, all the way down to Woodline. But you see a lot of green in the Baltimore area this morning. So the loop looks really good for you all this morning as you come into that Baltimore area. As we look into Philadelphia, man, it's a mess, folks. New Jersey, there is problems all over New Jersey. We have it all the way back here at Maple Shade, Haddonfield, Belmar, south on 42, right down below Lindenwood and Pinewood, Deptford. So you've got a lot of issues coming in on the New Jersey side. 95 along the river, always an issue. It is extended from the city all the way up past 73 and the little airport up there as you get into Ben Salem. As we look at the 76, backed up to Conshohocken, a little bit of a break at King of Prussia, and then north of that, you still have a problem coming down from 422 as you merge onto 76. 276 looks like your best route to get around the city and a lot of this traffic. Again, 476, Marple Township, all the way down to 95, and then we have another problem at 95 as it comes up to the 495 there as you emerge from New Jersey side as well near Chestus and Marcus Hook. So again, Philadelphia, you got a lot of traffic this morning. Going to have to increase your space, slow your speed down, all right, and be safe out there, folks. As we look at Indianapolis, Indy looks much better this morning. 70's good. Always a little bit of slowdown as you could drop down below the city. But 70 looks good on both sides, entering and exiting the loop. And the loop looks pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of green, and all the feeders look good. The only exception, again, is there's a little bit of traffic. Both directions right here at the 69, 465 merge point. You've got the northbound direction here from Lawrence, just north of 70 as you approach 69. And then coming from the other way, 31 in Nora down to 69, you've got a problem coming in the, that would be the east or the southbound direction. So a little bit of a backup there, but the loop over here in Zionsville looks good, right? Over by the Speedway looks good. A little bit of a slowdown here at 36. But you look good at Indianapolis this morning, everybody. All right, we're going to look at our weather, right? Again, we've got our windy.com. And so we're going to kind of look at, hey, here's what we've got going on. Not a lot of wind, right? We had a lot of wind yesterday. Up in Montana, there's some. We're going to see a little bit, kicks up a little bit. Again, Montana's going to be the big area. Some 30s here, just going to require some slower speeds in Tennessee, Kentucky, southern Indiana, Columbus, in that Ohio Valley. That's at 2 p.m. And then by 6, kind of stays the same, right? You see North Dakota, South Dakota, eastern Montana. We're still in the 20s and 30s here in the Ohio Valley, so should not be a problem today with our wind. As we get into Friday, though, again, you start out your commute really nice. Look at all that green tomorrow morning. And then as we go in the afternoon, you can start to see Iowa. You're going to get hit hard tomorrow and into Illinois. You can see around noon, it's going to start to pick up 38-mile-an-hour gusts. And then as we move, there, you can see 48, right? In the 40s, all the way in southern Minnesota, eastern Nebraska. Now we're into St. Louis, has got mid-30s, right? Illinois, they're in the Quad Cities. As we go to 7 p.m., it's kind of engulfs a little bit more in Illinois. Chicago now kicks up to 30. And then when we get to overnight, it starts to die down a little bit, right? For Saturday. And then Saturday, we're going to see a lot in the Ohio Valley and this northeast as we go. So to kind of try to plan your day. There you go. So you can kind of see this thing comes down. As it moves east, it drifts down to the south. So you're going to see the Carolinas, eastern Tennessee, right, Kentucky, all of them going to be affected with some mid-30s to 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts on Saturday. We're also going to look at some storms. You can kind of see we're pretty clear as we move Saturday. Got some snow showers in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Virginia. Not expected to be much. So as we go to today, you can kind of see that big system is now pushing off to the ocean. A little bit of rain maybe from Chicago to St. Louis. Nothing much to deal with. So I think we're going to have a pretty nice day today. You can see Pennsylvania, some showers maybe later this evening on the eastern side and into New Jersey. And then tomorrow as you wake up, most of it is gone. A little bit of snow up into the extreme north, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Canada. And then tomorrow afternoon, our commute, we see some of that rain start to creep into Indiana, Ohio, western Pennsylvania, and New York. And then for Saturday, there's that snow that we were kind of looking at. Again, not expected to be a lot, just as temperatures drop. And we'll kind of see what our temperature forecast is. We're still going to be above freezing. So that snow's got to be in them, just in the high elevations, because you can see down on the ground, we're going to be in well above freezing on Saturday. So not expecting that to be much, as you can see. So we're going to have a pretty good commute. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and be right back with some safety.
Hi, and welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. I had to get my chair straight. There's nothing like it when your chair's not right on a show. It is Drive Safe Dave along with Buckle Up Bob. Bob, we are talking about safety as always, and let me ask you, what's the topic today?
All week we were talking about aggressive driving and how to avoid it. And so we're spending the last 2 days kind of working on what they say is the attitude of a driver. And that's all drivers, not just truck drivers, every driver. And it's about managing stress today. Many drivers, one of the things that I liked what they said is drivers by nature are designed to, when they plan, they want to plan for the shortest trip. And what they focus is, hey, I need to make good time, right? They're always worried about making good time. And when something goes wrong with that plan, they get frustrated, they get aggravated, right? And so, again, what they want to do is you got to change that mindset, just like we're trying to change prevent from worrying about fault to prevent. We want to understand what that does to you, and it causes stress. So one of the things they want you to do is, hey, change that mindset from I got to make good time to make my time driving good, right? And you can do that by making it safe. Don't add to the problem. When you get frustrated, that leads to the stress that you're all under a much stress already. Now you're adding some to yourself, and we all know, and they even bring it up again, stress causes fatigue. So it just starts that domino down a bad path towards unsafe driving habits, right? As you become stressed, fatigued, you make bad decisions. And so we need to really focus on, just like fault versus preventability, we want to focus on the preventability side. We need to focus on our attitude and say, hey, quit planning to make good time and just plan to say, hey, I'm going to get there safely. I'm going to enjoy the ride, right? And I can do that by slowing down, increasing my space, and just not letting anything bother me throughout the day that these four-wheelers will and can do.
Yeah, and I'm gonna, and if you don't mind me throwing in here, my father told me a long time ago. He said, and he was a 3-tour vet of Vietnam, and he said, "Look, you can't ever truly control your environment. You can't control the moment, and you can't control what's going on around you a lot of the times, especially when there's chaos, confusion, and danger. Those things will come at you in an instant, and rarely are you able to do anything except the one thing that you are always in control of if you allow yourself to be, and that is your attitude."
Yeah.
How you approach the dangers, the moment and the time and the weather and the calamity. He said those tell you what a professional does. And he was a professional soldier, and he said, in those moments, you rely on your training and you rely on the things that you know, and you move forward and you do what you can, and you stay in control of your attitude, because your attitude speaks volumes of your ability. And I when he told me those things, and there have been countless times I have not been in control of my attitude. I have gotten angry. I have gotten frustrated. But like you always say, and like we always say, Bob, when you catch yourself in those moments, it's time to draw back, right? And whether you, and I'm just going to tell you, it's like we see videos on the road when you get too close to the car. We all do it. It's happened. But when you get there, it's time to draw back away from it, create that space. And I think that's what we're talking about here. Realize that truly you are in control of your attitude, and your attitude speaks volumes. And when you have the right attitude, you genuinely have the right behavior.
Yes.
Correct? When
Absolutely.
you have the right attitude, you typically have the right behavior, and those things can save your life. And especially in those moments of calamity, in those moments of danger, in those moments that it becomes difficult. How you approach it and the attitude that you have really, really is important. And those can be, that attitude is necessary and able to do it. I think it's a great topic. I like that you're going to give it 2 days, because speaking to attitude is the one thing that we can control. It's the one thing that we are empowered to have with ourselves. Look, I get it getting mad, right, Bob?
Yes.
But we allow ourselves to get mad.
Correct.
I mean, we don't.
You can call me every name in the book, Dave, but I have the final say so whether I let it make me get
correct,
mad.
right?
I can say, you know what, Dave's just being stupid.
Dave's being stupid.
Dave doesn't know what the heck he's talking about, right? Whatever the case may be, but you're right. And we talk a lot about the heart, right?
Yeah.
And that's really where it comes down. Our attitude, our speech, our thoughts, our reactions all come from our heart. 100%. So if we don't believe in our heart that we got to be safe, then we're going to produce, at times, the wrong attitude,
correct,
right? It's just inevitable. So you have to start with that heart. Believe in what you're doing. Believe you make a difference. And that's not just driving. That's here in the office, in your office, where you work. Make sure that, hey, you do make a difference. I know it seems like it doesn't sometimes. You can talk and talk and talk, and then it doesn't seem to do any good. But you have to believe in your heart that you do make a difference, and you have to be diligent about it.
I agree. And it's hard work.
Yes.
It's hard work.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you believe that you have the professional attitude and you move past that frustration, then you aren't going to drive like you're in a hurry, right? Or you're not going to drive aggressively, right?
Yeah.
If you get past that moment of, oh my God, I'm nervous about what's going on, then you're going to make mistakes.
Yes.
If you're really, what we're talking about here is doing everything you can talk about when we talk about attitude. Great topic. I love the topic. My dad was a big proponent on attitude. Big proponent. He's always. And Bob, you and I agree. Sometimes it's not the size of the dog in the fight, right? Sometimes it's the size of the fight in the dog that wins. And I think it's very important that we see. And we take an honest look at ourselves when it comes to attitude. Yeah,
we'll have to get that clip out maybe for tomorrow from Remember the Titans, when he says, attitude reflects leadership, sir, right? Yeah. And it's so true to that, So again, we ask that you work on your attitude today, and we're going to talk again about it tomorrow.
Great point.
We're going to see some great videos with some drivers with some good attitudes here. Here you got the warnings, right, about the light ahead.
Red, 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 all of them.
All of them ran through the red, right? Folks, we just can't stress how dangerous intersections are. And this one must be bad because they don't just put a sign up. They got flashing lights that you've got an intersection ahead. So this is a really, that's the warning that we talk about situational awareness. When you look at the kind of warnings about an intersection, and look how big the white arrows are. I mean, must be a problem area.
And I will tell you that when that's flashing, that means the light's changing.
Yep.
And not just a warning anymore, but that means it's going to be, when it's blinking like that, that means the light's changing and you need to stop. Here it is. None of them stopped. All those four-wheelers hit that red light.
And Dave, I'm glad you brought that up because, man, I think this needs to be at every intersection because you get the flashing light and that tells you already, hey, if it's flashing, it's getting ready to change, and it gives you plenty of time to start to slow down.
And I think, I like it here on this road, but look, Bob, it told everybody, and they didn't care anyway.
No.
So you want to spend millions and millions of dollars for them not to care anyway?
Well, we got to no matter what we do that, but you can't. But that's giving up, ain't it?
Not giving up. Let's educate that stale green lights are for everybody.
Yeah,
all right, let's see the next one.
Here, it's green, right? I guess this driver's going to try to make a left turn, but he sees, look at that. Ugh. Another one ran the red light the opposite direction.
I understand.
Love the patience here. Now, this driver lost his or her opportunity to make their left-hand turn, but...
Are they making a left-hand or are they trying to make a right-hand turn so they're letting that truck get clear first?
I'm not sure.
I think they're waiting on that truck to get clear to make a right.
They seem all the way over in that left-hand lane. So
I think
now you got to watch the truck on, the lane on your right, people coming up and taking that space.
Yeah, you are. I guess you are. And I just think he's trying to swing. I don't know yet.
We don't know. But again, you can see the danger here.
Oh,
and then this is why you have to approach them as if you're going to stop and delay when you turn green because great job seeing that truck come.
Look at that.
Not stopping.
Look at that.
You can see.
Oh, he ain't stopping.
No.
Never even slowed down.
Great job.
Good job.
And then here, it's night. What do you think's going to happen? Oh, they're going to pass in a oh no, this driver's going to get passed. Look how close. Gosh. Crazy, right? But you've got to keep your head on a swivel so you can slow that speed and let the idiot in.
This is a no passing zone.
Yeah, that's right. Let them in so that you can protect life. Here again, pretty good video, but just want to say, you kind of put yourself in a tailgate situation. But what I do want to really focus on here is the pause in each lane. It wasn't a quick move. It was, hey, I made this lane change, right? I'm going to change right into here.
Okay, so
now maybe back off a little bit.
1001, 1002, 1003.
And boom. Love it.
Okay, I get it.
Great job on the change. Just, hey, we look for 8.
Right.
That was a safe maneuver. Safest, hey, maybe slow down a little bit so that you get
give yourself
that space.
A little bit. It won't hurt you in the long run.
Right.
Good job.
Overall, outstanding job, driver.
I like it.
And here, man, resisting the urge to make that illegal pass around farm equipment. Love the patience here, folks. This wins the patience award. You can see the rise coming up. You're already going slow, so you're not going to be able to get around that farm equipment in a truck fairly quickly anyway. And you've got some side roads and that small rise coming over the hill, and here comes another vehicle. So there's really just not a safe opportunity. And you just got packed of patience. And this driver wins the patience award.
And
terrific job.
And I understand the farmer in front of us. He's moved as far over as he can to make it available for passing when it can. Mm-hmm. He's doing everything he can to stay out of the roadway and to make it as quick. But right now, you got to understand that there's an oncoming car, no passing zone, a lot going on. So great job here. But kudos to the farmer too. He's got to get down the road, and but he's moved over. I don't think he can get any further over.
No, because then you can start picking off mailboxes. But watch at the very end, right there. This is what's hard, folks, and great job by this driver. But a car came from a side road on the right.
Oh, yeah.
To turn left into that lane. So you think you're clear. Like, here, this vehicle passes. Now watch right ahead. It's hard to see, but here, right there comes a car or a vehicle from the right turning into this lane.
Yep.
This is why you got to be patient. Man, great job, driver. I just think that was an awesome job this morning. And that should be the last one.
Good stuff. Good video.
Great job on having the right attitude there, as we talked about, and not adding more stress. Just being patient. Make the not make good time, but make the time while you're driving good.
Absolutely. Hey, we don't want to forget that it is Thankful Thursday. We want to make sure that you know it is, and we always want to thank every driver out there for the job well done and what they do each day and how important they are to us and to every single person out there in this country. Bob, let's go ahead. We've run out of time. Let's go ahead and close with a quick prayer, and we will get on to that.
Dear Lord, Lord, as we come to you, let our hearts be humble. Let our hearts be kind, Lord, and let us just treat each other with love and kindness. Again, make our time good out there with others, right? Whether behind a wheel, behind a desk, just let us see your light, your love come from our hearts, Lord, in everything we do, every thought, every word we say. Lord, we ask all this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. And okay, everybody, remember that you have your local programming at 8:15. We will conclude BCB Live here, and it is Thursday. We will have your local programming shortly. All right. Hey, everybody, we'll see y'all in just a little bit, or we'll see y'all at 2. Bye.